Are there few who are saved? Introduction. In August 2005, Newsweek and BeliefNet asked 1,004 Americans what they believe and how they practice their faith. Among the questions was this one: can a good person who isn't of your religious faith go to heaven or attain salvation or not? Here are their responses. 79% said yes, 12% said no, 9% don't know. The responses are interesting. Most people believe those of different faiths will be saved. Among Catholics and more liberal Protestants, that view is overwhelming. The majority of those who view themselves as evangelical agree. This would suggest that most believe many will be saved. Is that true? Jesus was asked a similar question, Luke 13:23, and spoke often on the subject of who will be saved. Note that he taught, few will be saved. Many think most will be saved, or to put it another way, that most people will go to heaven. Yet Jesus taught that few would be saved, Luke 13:23 through 24, and Matthew 7:13 and 14. We do well to remember only 8 souls were saved during the flood, Genesis 7:21 and 20 through 23, 1 Peter 3:20, and 2 Peter 2:5. Only 3 souls escaped the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, Genesis 19:24 through 30, and only 2 men out of the 603,550 over the age of 20 were permitted to enter the land of Canaan, Numbers 14:26 through 32 and 1:45 through 46. Sadly, there will be few who find the way that leads to life, Matthew 7:14. And what is the way that leads to life? Again, we find Jesus taught that Jesus is the only way. Many think all religious people will be saved. As some put it, it doesn't really matter what you believe. Yet Jesus taught that no one comes to the Father but through him, John 4:16. We do well to remember the example of Cornelius, a religious person who needed salvation, Acts 10:1 through 6 and 11:14. The example of many other religious people who needed salvation. The devout Jews on the day of Pentecost, Acts 2:5-36 through 38. The devout Ethiopian returning from worship at Jerusalem, Acts 8:27 through 28 and 35 through 38. The devout Lydia, a worshiper of God who kept the Sabbath, Acts 16:13 and 14. The devout Saul, doing what he thought was the Lord's will, Acts 26:9 and Galatians 1:14. Being religious is not enough, and one cannot truly be a Christian who believes that salvation can be found outside of Christ, Acts 4:12. But note that Jesus also taught salvation is for those who obey. Many think that all who believe in Jesus will be saved, yet Jesus warned of those who believed in him but were lost, Matthew 7:21 through 23. They believed him to be their Lord. They spent their lives in service to the Lord, but they had not done the Father's will. We do well to remember that Jesus is the the author of salvation to all who obey him. Hebrews 5:9. The end of those who do not obey his gospel. 2 Thessalonians 1:7-9. Not all believers will be saved. The demons believe, yet tremble. James 2:9. Some believed, but were unwilling to confess him. John 12:42-43. Conclusion: believing that many, if not all, will be saved is a comforting doctrine, a view praised as tolerant and loving. But if one really desires to follow Jesus, they must abide in his teaching, John 8:30-32, that few will be saved, that Jesus is the only way, that salvation is for those who do his Father's will. Of course, God wants all men to be saved. 1 Timothy 2:3-6 and 2 Peter 3:9. He has provided his Son as the perfect sacrifice and the perfect mediator. But will we believe and obey his Son?